2.6, draw scatter plots. And best fitting lines. So these first ones say to tell whether the correlation coefficient for the data is closest to -1, -0.5, 0, 0.5, or 1. So there's only 3 of these, like the ones we just looked at a minute ago, but they basically give you so if you had to guess, okay, hold on, let me try to make them a little bigger so you can actually see them. What correlation would you say that this has? Positive, and then would it be, so then would it be 0.5 or 1? 0.5. So if it's really, really strong, like pretty much all like completely in a line, it'll be 1. If they're a little bit more spread out, it's going to be the 0.5. Pen's going to be really big for the moment. Okay, since there's only one of those in the book, I'm going to do a couple of other examples here. I'm going to go ahead and draw them all, and then we'll write beside them what each one is. So, let's do 3 more. Okay, so then let's see. All right, so what would we say about this one? -1, yep. It's negative, so it'll be -1. How about this one?
0.
It's going to be 0 because it's just kind of all over the place. And then this one? -0.5. So if it's a little bit more spread out, that's when we're going to go with the 0.5. Now, obviously it might not be exact, but it's just like if you just roughly looked at it, what is it going to look like? So, okay, so then the next one, what they're doing is they're going to give you a table, and then you can absolutely do it by hand, but I'm going to show you how to do it on the calculator in case you do end up taking stats in the future. You have a little bit of a guideline, and then there's something that you do actually need your calculator to be able to do with these problems. So let's start with number 10. So these ones say to draw a scatter plot of the data and then approximate the best fitting line and estimate y when x equals 20. So I'm going to show you how to do both of those things, but the table that they give us, it's an xy table with x being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y being 10, 22, 35, 49, and 62. So we could do this as just like plotting points, okay? You're more than welcome to do that in terms of the graph, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you how to, your calculator will draw it for you. I'm going to, well here, I'm going to write down the commands that we're going to use, and then we're actually going to do it together. So we're going to click Stat, and then Edit, and this is where you're going to type in your numbers. Okay, always make sure that you type them in correctly. Then you're going to hit Second, and then the Mode button, which gives you Quit. And then we're going to hit Second, stat plot, and then we'll fill that in. And then you always got to make sure the plot is on. So we're going to turn the plot on. If more than one of your plots is on, and I'll show you what I mean by that, we have to turn the others off or it's going to tell you that there's an error. We're going to choose the scatter plot option then. So these are the things that come after you turn the plot on. Then we're going to, for the X list, we're going to be putting in L1. For the Y list, we're going to be putting in L2. And then we hit zoom and 9, which is for zoom stat, which is what's going to cause it to graph. And then I'll come back to how we're going to draw the line. But those are all the commands that we're going to hit in order to actually graph our little stat plot. And what when I'm doing them, I always tell people, like, just copy it as it is off of here. You don't have to put all the labels on it. So I basically say, show me what your calculator screen looks like. That way everybody's looks the same. All right, so I'm going to take this off. Does everybody have this? Or more or less. All right, so I'm going to take this off for a second. Okay, so on your calculator, there's this stat button over here. It should be right under the delete button. Hit that, and then the first thing says edit, so you're going to hit enter. In your L1 column, does anybody have anything in their L1? Nobody's using a calculator? Okay, it already has stuff in it. Some of the kids yesterday, I was doing this in pre-cal, and some of them already had stuff in them. And I was like, okay, so here's how to clear it. So what you're going to do is the numbers for X, you're going to type in here. So you're going to like do 1 and then hit enter, and it'll just keep moving down. So you'll do all of them. And if you have any extras, you can just hit the delete button just for the future. And then the L2 list, starting at the top, make sure it lines up with the one it goes with. You're going to do the Y list in order. So 10, 22, 35, 49, and 62. I need to clear that one. And if your lists aren't even, you're missing a number and you need to check it.
For mine, it won't let the 5 go in the column. It just goes like to the bottom where it says L1, 5 equals 5.
If you hit enter, it'll do it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
For mine, it doesn't have like that L1 and L2 stuff. It just says like Y1, Y2, Y3, all that.
Are you under stat? And then edit? Because that sounds like the other screen.
I'm very much confused.
I was pressing this one. Well, that's why when you said that, I was like, I don't think that's the right button, but maybe I'm...
Yeah. I think the same one you have.
I have already finished it because I want to try not to kill it.
You have a charger up here somewhere if you need to charge it in a little bit.
Okay, God, I do need to charge it.
Okay, so now you're going to hit second and then mode, which is going to quit and get you out of there. Then you're going to hit second and this Y equals button up here for stat plot. And so then what I was talking about earlier is that only one of these can say on. If they all say off, that's fine. We're going to turn one of them on. But if any of them besides just one of them say on, we need to go turn it off. So hit enter for whatever one is on or whatever one you want to turn on. So you're going to click enter on the on button, which is going to turn it on. Then you're going to have these 6 different options here, okay, for what to pick. This first one, well, you can't really see it very good, but this first one has like the dots just like around. That's the scatter plot one. So hit enter there. And then does your calculator already have L1 and L2 here? Okay, I'm going to show you just really quick if it wasn't there what you need to do. You hit second and then stat, and it's going to bring up all your lists, and then you would just click the one that you need. Okay. And then you can choose whatever mark. If you have the newer calculators, you also get to choose color, I think. So does everybody have this?
So I finally found the mode button. And then after that, I press the one that says y equals.
Second, and then y equals.
Okay. And then after I did that. Oh, for this, so that.
Okay. So then the zoom button, top middle, you're going to hit zoom. And then you can either arrow down or you can just hit number 9 as zoom stat. So if you just hit the number 9 on your calculator, it's going to graph it. Now I'm going to show you why my calculator just did that. If your calculator has a line through it like this, okay, that means that there's something in your y equals, which I don't know if you have graphed anything on your calculators before or not, but if there's something there, you just need to hit the y equals button and clear it. I had something in there from yesterday. So there's my plot.
When I press 9, it says error syntax. And then it says like either quit or GOTO.
It's go to. Let me see it for a second.
GOTO. It was all pressed together. GOTO.
Is this your sister's calculator?
Is what?
Was this your sister's
Yeah.
calculator? That's why I was like looking at what was in there. Hold on.
Mine's blue. I got my sister's old one and she got a new one.
Your plot wasn't on, that's why.
Okay.
What is happening? There it is.
Thank you.
I was like, what is going on? Yeah. I was looking at the stuff that was typed in there, and I was like, unless you were just playing around, that would not have been stuff you would have typed in there. Okay, so we're going to take and we're going to basically copy this onto the graph on your paper. So something like that, more or less. And this is part A of the problem. So part B then says to approximate the best fitting line and estimate y between x and, or whatever, when x is equal to 20. We'll do that in a minute. So to do the best fitting line, okay, we do this on your calculator. We hit the stat button again. So this is for best fitting line. Best fit line. We hit stat and then we go to calc. Okay. And then we're going to hit the number 4, which is lin reg, and it should say something like ax plus b. So, and then I'm going to show you what to actually type in there. So, you're going to just get out of your graph, so hit second and the mode button to quit. And then what we're going to do is, I'm trying to get this so you can actually see it. So then you're going to hit stat, arrow over to calc. And then number 4 says lin reg. And then it says ax plus b. So we're going to hit that one. Do you already have L1 and L2 here?
I have L2 and L2.
Okay, so then on your first one, what you're going to do is you're going to hit second stat. So you should see this come up when you do that. And then you're going to select L1.
Okay.
You don't need to do anything in frequency list. You can skip that. Then store in the store the regression equation. Okay, that's the equation of the best fit line. So it just wants to know where you want it stored. You don't have to do that part, but I always store it so I can go back and look at it, and then it's actually that way we'll graph it on your graph for you. Because what the book really wants you to do is to connect the dots, more or less. This one, you would actually connect them. Some of them, you won't actually connect them all. So you're going to hit vars, which is next to the clear button. And then you see this up here. It says y vars. You're going to arrow over to that function. I just always store it in y1, so just hit enter. So when you do that, this is what it should look like. You should have L1, L2, then nothing, y1, and then we're going to arrow down and hit calculate.
It took me to something that says function that has all like the y ones and stuff.
Yeah, so you're going to hit hit enter on y1,
Oh.
and then it'll take you back to the screen to hit calculate. Okay, now what this means is that you're going to take and you're going to plug these numbers in. Okay, so A, like I said, this is an AX plus B. So A is going in front of the X, and then B is going at the end. So the equation of your line is going to be, for part B, y equals 13.1 x minus 3.7. Now, I'm going to show you what, so hit second quit, or second mode, which gives you quit. So then, if you hit this y equals button up here, your equation of your line is written right there for you. Okay, now hit your graph button again, so the button on the far right, you don't have to hit the zoom thing again.
It's drawn.
It drew the line of best fit, okay, which means that that's the line that approximates all your data the best, okay? So what the book is really asking you to do, they're not so much asking you to write the equation, but I do this because it's good to get like the little bit of foundation in case you do take stats next year, or even in 2 years. But basically the line of best fit is just the line that more or less goes through all of the points. And it may be slightly above some, slightly below some, but that's what the book is really asking you to do, not so much to do the equation. So then part C says estimate y when x is equal to 20. So all we're going to do is plug in 20 for x, 13.1 times 20 minus 3.7, and then we just need to solve that. So you can just do that in your calculator.
Do we press second mode to quit?
Yeah. Anytime you want to get out of whatever's on, like basically whatever the screen is, you can do that. Let's see if yours agrees with me, but I think that's what it should be. Is this what y'all got? Cool.
I'm just using my brain right now. I really don't want this thing to die.
I don't know how much y'all have used this calculator or if you just got it this year and you've barely touched it yet, but I will caution you that your calculator is not, I mean, yes, it's smart, but it doesn't always know PEMDAS, so just make sure you're careful when you type stuff in if you're doing equations.
Make sure we put in like the parentheses on certain
Yeah.
things.
Because, I mean, your calculator's smart, but it's not necessarily quite as smart as you think it is. So, it doesn't always recognize PEMDAS. And it's like, okay, buddy. So, let's do another one of these. So number 14, we have another table. And this time it's 5.6, 6.2, 7, 7.3, and 8.4. And then the y values 120, 130, 141, 156, and 167. So then you're going to go to your list and you're going to type these in again. That was gross. So just as a refresher, we're going to hit Stat, Edit, and then L1 is going to be your X list, L2 is going to be your Y list.
So we clear the ones we have.
You can just type over them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like the next one that we do is going to have a lot more numbers. So when you go to do it, I can either show you how to clear the list or you can delete them each manually. Those the two options pretty much. Whoa, not that. And then once you have that, you can just go and check and make sure your stat plot's still on. So second and then the y equals button. Check the stat plot. Make sure everything's still filled in correctly. Okay, now I'm going to tell you it is going to still be filled in correctly, but I do that just so that you get used to going through the steps in case it wasn't already on and whatever. So it's got to be on. Select the stat plot. X list is L1. Y list is L2. Choose your mark. I usually like the little star one for me just because it's bigger and easier to see, but it's completely a personal preference thing. Hit zoom, hit zoom and then the number 9. Now, because we had the line drawn in the last problem, well, it's actually not because of where the data is, it's not going to be there, but if the line had showed up here, okay, the line from last time, you just go to y equals and just hit clear and then just click graph again and it's going to come back up and it'll get rid of the line completely. So now you can draw that on your paper, copy it over. Then part B, we're looking for that line of best fit. So go to second quit to get out of your graph. Hit stat, arrow over to the right to calc. You're looking for len reg, which is number 4. L1 and L2 should pretty much always be there for you unless you go in and manually change them. Again, we don't need anything in the frequency list. Store reg EQ, that's where we're going to put the y value. Okay, what y equals we want it to be in. So hit vars, so it's next to clear. arrow over to y-vars function. Then it's going to bring up your list. You can pick your favorite one. I just always use y1 because, you know, it's there. Yesterday somebody was like, I want y8. I'm like, then you use y8. I do not care. And then hit calculate. And it's going to bring it up. I would say always just round to 1 decimal place, so just to the 10th place. So your equation is going to be y equals 17.4x plus 22.8. And then we still need to plug in 20 for x. So part C, y equals 17.4 times 20 plus 22.8. And what did y'all get for that? 370.8. Cool. All right, so then the last one says, in exercise 19 and 20, use a graphing calculator to find and graph the equation of the best fitting line. So same thing, it's just a bigger table. So that's also kind of why I do this, and I modify these other problems. It's like, yes, you could graph this by hand, certainly, but it just makes more sense to do it on your calculator because that's how you'll do it in stats. Okay, so your table for number 20, it's pretty big. We got a lot of numbers going in here. So 7,000. I'm going to go across first. 7,400. 7,800. 8,100. 8,500, 8,800, 9,200, 9,500, and 9,800. And then the Y column, 56, 54.5, 51.9, 50, 47.3, 45.6, 43.1, 41.6, and then 39.9. So I'm going to have you guys try to do this one on your own on the calculator and see how we're doing with it. And then we'll go over it together. And after we're done with this problem, I'll show you how to completely clear the list because this one obviously has a lot more numbers than the one we did before. So I'll show you how to clear it so that you won't have to delete a whole bunch of numbers manually. Alright, did we get at least the scatter plot drawn? Okay. So you should have something that looks like more or less something like that.
You said to only go out one decimal place.
Let me rephrase. If it is, because this one is really, really tiny value, go to the first number that's not 0.
Okay.
Yes.
Like,
Go to more than the tens place if it's not like if it was like 3.02, then just do 3.
Yeah.
But if it's like 0.000
0.00.
something, then yeah, just go to the first number like when rounded that's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like since this one is 0.005 and then you continue on, I can just put 0.01.
Yeah. I think it's negative, right?
Yeah.
Okay. X, and then what's the y-intercept?
98.1.
Is it okay if I had 0.006?
No, I want it just to the first number that's not 0. I really only want tens place, but I don't want 0x because then that obviously completely throws the whole thing, so. Now this one doesn't ask for you to plug in when x equals 20 or whatever, so you don't have to do that with this one. This is
Just starting to write that. I was breaking
well, x equals 20 for this is going to be quite entertaining because much different value there. But yeah, no, just the other ones ask for it. So for your problems, what I'm going to do is you need to do 7 and 9, which are the correlation ones, and then 11, 13, and 15. But what I'm going to do is with these ones is you have to pick 2 of them. I don't care which 2 you pick. If you want to do all 3, that's fine, but if you know how to type this up in your calculator, like, you don't need to do all of them. And then number 19, just because it's longer.